14 million American adults fall every year, and most never see it coming. It's not because of bad luck, clumsiness, or even age. For many people, a single fall means a broken hip and the start of a path that ends in a nursing home. People blame their fall on ice, balance problems, or even on the shoes they're wearing, but that's not usually the real reason they end up on the ground. I'm a home care physical therapist who worked with patients after falls, and in this video, I'll explain what really causes falls and what you can do to avoid one. The number one thing that causes women to fall down is leg weakness. Even when someone says they have a balance problem, unless there's a true neurological issue that's affecting their coordination, what they likely have is weak legs. I've worked with hundreds, maybe thousands of older adults who tell me they have a balance issue. But what I almost always find is they actually have weak legs that are disguised as a balance problem. You can't worry about your balance if you don't fix your strength first, and here's why. If you can't effectively stand up from a chair a bunch of times in a row without your hands, get on and off the floor, do stairs, you're already starting at a deficit. That's a minimal level of strength that you need to have. Balance isn't something you have or don't have, it's something your legs have to support. And if your legs can't control your body, your balance never even gets a chance. This is like blaming your steering wheel when your gas tank is empty. You can turn the wheel all you want, but the car is not going anywhere. Balance is the steering and strength is the fuel. Show me an adult with strong, powerful legs, and you're showing me someone who isn't going to be struggling with their balance every day. On the other hand, take someone who struggles to stand up from their recliner. They will always tell me they have a balance problem or just don't feel steady walking around. But the issue here is not a balance one, it's leg weakness. That's why working on balance exercises alone won't stop you from falling down in the future. So if you've been thinking that you might have a balance problem or working on your balance at the expense of strength training, you might want to change your priorities. So the question becomes, how do so many women end up with weak legs? And what I see over and over isn't pure inactivity, it's deconditioning. And deconditioning often shows up in one of two ways. Number one is people who stay busy, active, and keep walking, but their muscles stop being challenged enough to stay strong. And if you don't squat, lunge, or do stairs in your daily life, your thighs get weaker. And that's exactly why walking, biking, and staying busy don't prevent deconditioning if your muscles aren't being challenged enough. I see many patients who tell me how active they are, but in reality, that's just their framing. Active might matter for weight control and heart health, but the average person's own definition of active means almost nothing when it comes to preventing falls as they age. What worked to keep you active at 35 when you had young kids running around doesn't work any longer when you're 60 and retired and looking for things to do. The second way deconditioning comes up is more obvious and probably the way you're thinking. This happens when you become less active after being sick and hospitalized, after a surgery, or throughout the course of the winter. Activity decreases, strength goes away, and there goes your confidence. It's natural to do less in these scenarios, but for way too many people, they continue to be inactive for far too long after. Even when people regain their strength, there's another huge factor at play that causes so many falls. It is poor balance, but probably not the kind you're thinking about, because forget circus tricks standing on one leg. I'm talking about how quickly your body can react when something unexpected happens. This is called reactive balance, and it's almost as important as strength for preventing falls. Think about it this way. If you're walking down the street and you trip on a raised portion of the sidewalk, your momentum will start taking you forwards. The quicker you can move your leg and put a foot down, the lower your risk of falling down. So before you worry about training to stand on one foot, worry about how quickly you can react if you were walking down the street and happened to trip. Life really never requires us to react quickly. Think about it. I bet the last time you really had to move your foot quickly was either when you were playing sports with your children or at some point in life when you tripped. And hopefully you can move your foot quickly enough then. But can you now? Now, there are other reasons why people fall, but they account for a minor amount of falls compared to what we just talked about. Things like vision changes, hearing loss, medications, and environmental hazards do increase fall risk. People don't realize their vision has gotten worse until they trip on a rug they didn't see. And certain medications can make people dizzy or drowsy, which will also contribute. But when you combine these factors with things like weak legs and poor reactive balance, now that's when falls really happen. I hope what you're taking away from this is that people who just walk or who just try to stay active aren't usually doing enough to prevent falls. I see it over and over again in my patients, and often it's the same story. It's a woman in her 60s or 70s who walks a decent amount outside on completely flat paved sidewalks, but really hasn't done much of anything else. Is she strong enough? No. Are her legs deconditioned despite all the walking? Yeah. And does she have good enough reactive balance? No. But how would she know any of this beforehand? She had thought she was doing the right things. And the common wisdom says if you're staying active and being careful, then you have nothing to worry about. But that's simply not true. And this is why I strongly believe that most falls come down to the three areas that I just talked about. So now that you know these three main reasons for why you could fall, here's a solution to combat each of them so you never find yourself on the ground. To keep your legs strong, keep it simple and start doing sit to stands every single day. Make it your goal to stand up from the lowest couch or chair in your living room 30 times in a row without using your hands to push off. Once you can do that easily, add some weight and decrease the reps. And to make sure you never get deconditioned, set a daily step goal, stick to it, even in the winter, and don't stop taking the stairs and challenging your body throughout your daily life. These little things add up, even though it may not seem like it at the time. And if you ever find yourself hospitalized, make it your number one priority to get back to your baseline as fast as possible. Too many people will just let a week in the hospital turn into a downward spiral. And you might be wondering, how do you train your reactive balance? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Stand up, feet together, step forward 6 to 12 inches as quickly as you can, and then step back to the starting position. Repeat 5 times, and then do it on the other foot. As you improve at this, you can progress to other variations that will carry over even better to help you avoid a trip and fall. If you take nothing else away from this video, take this. People don't fall because they weren't careful enough. They fall because their body wasn't prepared. Walking and staying busy are good, but they just aren't enough. And I see the consequences of that every day at work. The goal is to give your body the confidence to know that one small trip won't change the rest of your life.